welcome back to wonderful Manchester. We're here for EuroCup 2023, hosted by the very wonderful Rainy City Roller Derby. This is game 4. It is going to be Paris Roller Derby playing Dock City Rollers. Both teams have already played today and unfortunately lost their first game. So we'll go through the rosters, but first of all, I'm Dork Mistress.
And I am Smash.
And we have the wonderful Sven Will I Be Famous as our producer. Hey, Sven. So would you like to go through the Dock City roster?
Yes, so skating in blue this afternoon at Dock City Rollers. Number 1618, Fred Finter. Number 18, Bowden. Number 20, Bylan. Number 2077, Kafka. Number 209, Mithra. Number 247, Bilin. Number 31, Malice Babs. Number 404, Payne Gretzky. Number 41, Stopless. Number 414, Arton. Number 421, Patty from the Block. Number 48, Moran. Number 5, High Five. Number 56, Snag.
And for Paris Roller Derby, we have number 12, La Moche. 1395, Legs. 141, Bonnie Tagoul. 160, Moshe Emoshi. 17 Lux, 21 Track Sparrow, 22 Rose Hyen, 4950 Star, 54 Bully Bunker, 56 Cass, 71 Louvre, 72 Sally Broyer, 729 Gypsy Queen, 911 Guinness Paltrow, and 999 Kiki Frenetic. And that is the 2 rosters for the teams. So, as it stands on WFTDA rankings, Paris are currently ranked 6th in Europe, and Dock City are currently 11th. Both have played games this year. Paris have played 10 games this year, and Dock City have played 7 games this year, mainly at West Track Story and Fall Brawl. Dock City had a great win at West Track Story against Helsinki, but since then have had a bit of a sort of skater roster change, and I think that they've been playing some other games. They played to Norrköping and lost recently, so it'll be interesting to see how they've come back from that and learnt. Paris have been out playing Rainy, they've played Tiger Bay, they've been playing Nantes, so they've been playing sort of top 10 teams. So it'll be interesting to see how they take the loss that they've just had to Toulouse and how they're going to turn that into this game.
Well, the 2 teams have already faced off against each other this season already. So back in May, Paris took the win, 189 to 128. But we're going straight in.
Yeah.
So that is La Moche jamming for Paris and Mithra taking the star for Dock City. But it is La Moche picking up lead jammer. And finding it fairly easy to kind of just jump round in lane 1, picking up the first 4 points.
That was a wonderful skip to the inside, but that inside line was wide open, and you really would have thought Dock City would be wanting to cover such an agile jammer as La Moche. So it's 4 points for Paris in that game, first points on the board. And definitely 4 points. Dock City picking up none in that first jam. A first jam's so important to set the tone.
So that is Legs jamming for Paris and Fred Finter jamming for Dock.
And we have Jammer hit out and then trying to eat up the time with that big recycle back to the apex.
So Legs with 2 to beat up at the front.
And we saw that Paris, particularly in the first half of the game this morning, were able to push the jammers were so strong they were able to push out the other team out of play and pick up leads, and that's what's happened here. So that's a cut track penalty that's been assessed on Fred Finter. So this is a power jam to Paris and to Legs, who has just made it out for second scoring pass.
So Paris with a slight pack advantage as well, as one of the... Sorry, wrong way around.
That's okay. So Paris have one of their blockers in the box for a destruction penalty. A direction, apologies. It's a D.
It's a D.
It's a D.
But Legs making it round for another scoring pass for Paris. But Fred Finter now back on track.
So Paris and Legs able to really capitalise on that penalty. Legs hit out and recycled all the way back. That's a huge recycle by Dock City. That was Bellin.
But we saw it in Paris's game against Toulouse earlier in the day, that Paris were really able to kind of stop those power jams that were against them. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do the same in this game when kind of faced with a similar scenario.
Absolutely, and it'd be interesting to see how Dock are going to sort of get used to how Paris are playing. So 11 points for Paris, and that last jam takes them to 15.
So Cass jamming for Paris. Bowden starting. Bowden jamming for Dock City, and it is Bowden who is lead jammer.
And in the pack, scoring points, has a big sprawl to the floor. Paris getting one of their blockers being sent off for that reason, as Bonnie Tagoul has gone for a forearms.
Well, Cass kind of spinning around the outside line there, making their way out for their initial pass.
Bowden and Cass both regular jammers for their team's rotations, and you can see why that timing from Bowden on that call-off was perfection.
Just stepping around the apex. Not an apex jump, but an apex step.
So, Dock City have responded with 8 points, taking them to 8 points. Paris on 15. Just having a quick change in lineup from Paris in the 30 seconds.
So that's Moshe jamming for Paris up against Mithra for Dock City, starting on the S1 jam line.
Both teams have got a blocker in the box, so no pack advantage, but smaller packs. And that's paid off as Mithra has made it out as lead jammer.
So Paris with some very, very strong defense there that we saw earlier in the day. And we have had a star pass. So Bonnie Tagoul was jamming for Paris before the jam was called off. Another 4 points there for Dock City, bringing the score 12 to Dock City, 15 to Paris.
That was great use of the star pass by Paris to only let Dock City have one scoring pass. Mean.
No points for you.
But at this kind of stage when the game is that close, that's what you're looking for.
Absolutely. So that is Fred Finter taking the star for Dock City, and that is Star taking the star for Paris. Star being taken to the back of the pack, being recycled all the way back.
So Paris have been able to hold back Fred Finter without moving, obviously until I said something. But Dock City not quite so able to hold back the Paris jammers. I think they're not quite as ready for that physicality, and so the wall is, is breaking up or is moving much further.
So Star being awarded lead jammer for Paris, first time in a couple of jams. Dock City have had a couple of good jams in their favour. So Paris kind of breaking their streak for the moment, only picking up 3 points, so not the full pass. So it was kind of a forced call off from Dock there.
So 3 points for Paris, 18 points, 12 points for Dock City. So it's still a bit tentative. It feels quite tentative, the sort of testing each other out, because although they met each other, it was a long time ago in roller derby terms.
Yep. That is Lamoche taking the star for Paris and Bowden for Dock City. But very, very quickly, Lamoche able to pick up lead jammer as Bowden is hit to the outside and recycled to the back of the pack. And while doing so, Lamoche is already round scoring points, but also being recycled.
Bowden is now up front with an entire Paris wall in front, but Lamoche has made it out. Completes that scoring pass. Bowden picking up a cut track penalty, though, in those last few seconds. So this is now a power jam to Paris, at an important time for Paris to really set the tone of these sort of the first section of the game.
And Dock City having a bit of penalty trouble. You know, one of their blockers has just been released, but with a power jam and another blocker sat in the box, it's not the best time for them to be having a power jam.
Limoges, meanwhile, completed another scoring pass, completing a second one now, but getting a little bit of, you know, argy-bargy from Bellin from Dock City, who didn't want Limoges to just run out without any trouble. But a big jam for Paris, 16 points, obviously the highest scoring jam of the game so far, but we are only on jam 6.
So as we go into Jam 7, we have got a power jam start in favour of Paris.
And that is the S1 jam line.
And that is legs on the S1 jam line, while Bowden now out of the penalty box.
So legs able to use just such great strength to be able to brush off hits, takes the outside line, waits for the perfect moment, calls the jam. So 4 points for Paris, takes them to 38. Dock still on 12, and we've got 21 minutes left in this game. Chance to thank our jam line and pivot line sponsor, S1. The S1 Lifer Visor Helmet, next level protection. Be a lifer. And we all know that head protection is important. So we are in a timeout, and also a chance to thank our bench sponsors. So Rollerbones. Rollerbones wheels and Bones bearings make for a winning combination. Check out www.rollerbones.com. Our other bench sponsors, Sucker Punch Skate Shop, the biggest roller derby shop in Europe, fast shipping, largest stock, expert advice at the best price, and they're at suckerpunchskateshop.com. And I've been on there, and there's lots of shiny things that I want, don't need.
That's been the theme of the day, though, for you, Dork, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Shiny things that you want but don't need.
Yeah, this is why I shouldn't go into merch villages. So, interestingly, from our producer, pointed out that Paris have had lead 5 of the 7 jams. And the score reflects that. But I think, you know, it's a lot of it was one jam. I think what's been interesting is that you say 5 out of 7. Dock have given more, you know, sort of difficulty to Paris than you'd expect with that kind of lead jammer stat.
Yeah, because it is a 16-point jam that Paris have had so far, so that's half their score pretty much.
So if you think about it, the other 4 jams, they were only getting single pass. Or
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do maths in my head.
Yeah, you can. Well done.
Thank you.
So on the S1 jam line, we have got Cass for Paris and Stopless for Dock City. I think the first time we've seen Stopless take the start at all this weekend, not just this game.
Yeah. Although we are at lunchtime on day 1.
We are. And that is
Stopless has picked up lead jammer, but was hit out and is being recycled. So one of those crazy times where you think they're out, they get the lead, but then they get recycled all the way back to turn 4. That's a little bit heartbreaking.
You've seen a lot of backwards derby, though, this weekend so far.
Which is interesting because, you know, as a bench, I would be telling my team to stop. You do not need to go backwards.
So we have misspoke. It wasn't Stopless with the start. It is Moran jamming for Dock City.
So we are in a position where Moran is lead jammer, hasn't completed initial, but Cass is now out.
Scoring points.
Yeah. So interesting that Dock City are choosing to play this long. And what an apex jump from Cass.
But Cass took their initial pass with in lane 1 and went for the apex.
Yeah.
And going for a third on the apex.
Not sure. Yeah, that was not landed in time. But nice to go for it. So, bearing in mind Dock had lead, Paris have scored 8 points in that jam, taking them to 46. Dock's still on 12. I can understand why you're trying to run jams long if you think that you're going to be able to, you know, maximise it. But I'm not sure what that decision was about. And we have an official timeout. And so our officials and all of our crew are sponsored by Rydell, who've been advancing the sport of skating for 70 years. No matter your rink choice, Rydell has figure skates and roller skates you will love. RydellSkates.com is the place to check that out. Again, shiny things that I want and do not need.
So at the moment, pending any decision that comes out of this official timeout, there are two blockers from each team kind of sat in the penalty box, as shown on screen now. So
we'll have a teeny tiny pack.
Teeny tiny pack.
At the start of this jam.
Show me your two walls. Show me those two walls.
But, you know, at the standard of roller derby we're seeing this weekend, that is still an impenetrable wall to get past.
Oh, absolutely.
I remember when it was just like, you know, back in the old days, because I'm really, really old in many ways, not just roller derby. You know, a two wall was like, that's easy, you just skate round the side of them.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
And not at this level. I mean, the defense that we've seen in the game so far today has just been solid. You know, literally walls not moving. And these are, you know, really experienced, strong, skilled jammers. But you get two or three blockers who are equally strong and skilled, and it's becoming difficult to get past. So just some track repair going on, which is making sure everything is safe, because there's been a lot of people skating over the rope and the tape, as you'd expect.
Lots of hits to the outside, lots of tumbles to the inside. It's all going on.
Yeah, so we need to make sure the track is safe, and we've done that, so the game is coming back on.
So on the S1 jam line, we have got Star jamming for Paris, and that is Mithra jamming for Dock City. And Mithra picking up lead jammer nice and quickly. Star with one to beat on turn one.
Oh, so that was an all or nothing hit from Bellin, who has picked up a penalty.
And that is a forearms penalty being called on Mithra. So we've got power jam.
We've got 3 Dock City blockers now, 2 in the penalty box, plus the Dock City jammer. Big opportunity for Paris. And we've seen this in games today, that everything is so tight and well drilled that when you get a power jam, you know, it's a real opportunity. So Dock City trying to save their points, speeding up the pack.
Just run away.
Yeah, but it didn't work. Star able to get through the 2 blockers on track, now 1. So Dock City picking up a large number of penalties in this jam from the blockers, you know, having them queued up for the penalty box, but they have 3 blockers on track now.
So Star in that last scoring pass, finding lane 1 nice, pretty much wide open for them to make their kind of scoring pass.
So Mithra pushing out up front. It's Star pushing at the back. And this is what we're talking about, these solid walls that are quite static, because it's just impossible to move people.
So far today, there's been a lot of kind of controlling the space and not give it, like teams not wanting to give away anything at all.
Yeah. Because rankings aren't just on wins or losses, it's about
your point diff as
your
well.
Point differential. And they are all looking towards the European Championships next year and going to want to be invited to that. So, big jam for Paris. 19 points, but 3 points for Dock City. So 15 now playing 65. 17 minutes left in this half. But yes, it's the points differential is going to really matter. So the predictor, the WFTDA predictor, was saying that it would be 176 to Paris, 123 to Dock. So if Paris, you know, win and win by lots more, or Dock City get closer, that will change, you know, sort of rankings and points as well. It's not just whether you win.
So we have got Lamoche jamming for Paris, and Lamoche is lead jammer. Fred Finter with the Star for Dock City is out of the pack on their initial pass as well. The Dock City will be in a bit split there. Paris's jammer able to get through and pick up 2 points. So Dock City forcing that call off there. Not a full scoring pass for Paris. Bringing the score 15 to Dock City, 67 to Paris.
And thank you to our sponsor, 187. And 187's killer pads, worn by the most pros in the world. If you skate, you know why. Intrigue and mystery.
I do love my 187 knee pads, to be fair. That's Moshe Moshe jamming for Paris and Bowden for Dock City. And Bowden picking up lead jammer. Star pass, very quick. Paris very quick to respond to not being able to be lead jammer and handing off to Bully Bunker.
And it's been very interesting during the games today. We've actually seen issues where they've taken the helmet cover off because they are not lead, but then but as the lead is awarded, it's also taken away through a penalty, and they've lost the opportunity to be lead. So
it's a double-edged sword, really, isn't it?
It is, but still, that's less rare than being able to take it off and get through. So you can see why people do it.
So legs with the star for Paris Roller Derby and Mithra with the star for Dock City. Legs spinning around stopless to pick up lead jammer.
I think one of the challenges for Dock City was they were trying to provide offense and defense at the same time, and that did leave space for Legs to get out. Legs now completing second scoring pass. No, first scoring pass. Forgive me.
Legs being recycled to the back of the pack.
But Mithra has completed initial pass for Dock City and forces the call off. So just having a look at the jam ref hands to see if there's any more points. And it is 4 points for Paris in that jam. So the lead is now 56 points between the two teams.
You're so good at maths, Dork.
I'm probably entirely wrong. Somebody's on Twitter going, no, you can't do maths.
So Fred Finter with the star for Dock City Rollers on the S1 jam line up against Cass for Paris. Bit of to-in and throw-in there in terms of the jammers making their way out first, but it is Fred Finter who comes out on top.
But that was wonderful one-on-one blocking by Rosien for Paris, holding back Fred Finter as long as possible. That was beautiful.
So like you were saying earlier, really, really strong two-wall just then from the Paris blockers. And even the one-on-one blocking, incredible. And again, a forced call-off there. Yeah. But able to pick up the full 4 points for that scoring pass, bringing the score to 23 to Dock City Rollers, 75 to Paris.
52 points.
I'm not even going to attempt the maths, Dork. It's the weekend.
So we have just over 12 minutes left in this first half.
And that is Bowden jamming for Dock City Rollers up against Star for Paris. But it is Bowden that makes their way out first, picking up lead jammer. And Stopless with a nice big hit to the outside, hitting off Star. And as that jam is called off, 4 points awarded to Dock City. None picked up by Paris in that jam, so 27 plays 75.
So we talked about how this game is important for rankings in the European Championships, but there's also another reason, because this game will start settling who's going to play for what game tomorrow. So, so actually, looking at this is game 4, if you've been looking at the game schedule. We'll come back to that because the jam is on.
So Moran jamming for Dock City up against Limoges for Paris. Limoges going for an apex jump, but not quite making it and being recycled to the back of the pack. Limoges being recycled again. Moran up against a very, very strong wall of Paris blockers there, having a bit of offense from their pivot, but not able to make it out for the initial. No lead jammer awarded yet. We're 50 seconds into this jam and still no lead jammer being assessed. A real testament to the strength of the blocking from both teams. Pack being stretched out quite far.
And that's been something that's been really noticeable. All these teams have been drilling 10 feet so accurately all weekend. And we saw this a lot in Paris versus Toulouse, that the defence is so strong that you end up having these two static walls far apart.
Yep.
Because the jammers are able to push, and particularly the jammers who are pushing out the front. But you can see that Dock took the brakes off and the pack has come back together. But Paris was still static up front, holding back Maron.
This is incredible, though, that we've got just over 15 seconds left of this jam. There is still no lead. Is this going to be a jam where there is no lead at all?
Well, you've just cursed it.
Sorry. sorry, guys.
But this jam, if you are a blocker, go home and watch this jam.
Yeah.
This is goals. Yeah.
Wow.
I can't even remember the last time I saw a leaderless jam this way.
That's just the amount of kind of endurance and stamina required from both the jammers and the blockers to just keep pushing, but also to keep locked down.
Yeah.
And the awareness of the kind of the pack definition.
And I think what we've seen so far in this first half, as you'd expect with this point score, but it's not just this reason, is that Paris are able to keep the Dock City jammers still static longer. Dock have been able, Paris jammers have been able to push Dock out of play or into the other pack.
Yeah.
And you can see that here. You can see that in this jam, just as you can see on turn 1. Paris have now absolutely locked down Mithra. But Dock are doing a really good job holding back Moshe and Moshi. I apologise for the absolute horror that I just inflicted on everybody.
Things have been happening. Mithra has picked up a forearms penalty just as they were making their way out the front of the pack. But the star has been handed off for Paris, so Bonnie Tagoul now jamming for Paris, but it means this is going to be a 2-minute jam. We've just come off of a 2-minute jam, going straight into another one.
And this is what we were talking about earlier, that you're taking the helmet cover off in your passing, thinking lead has been awarded. It's just an unfortunate timing.
You're the one doing the announcer's curse now, Doc.
Always. So we have Bonnie Tagoul pushing at the back, and Mithra comes out, completes their initial pass.
Bonnie Tagoul being recycled all the way to the back of the pack as Mithra comes in, hoping to pick up some points for Dock City. Mithra, I was going to say with 2 to beat up front, but they make it out, picking up the first 4 points for Dock City of this jam.
So Moshe and Moshi has passed the star all 3 times that they have jammed.
Really?
Yep.
Thanks, Sven. Thanks for the stats.
Makes me look far smarter than I really am.
Sorry, that entirely came from Dork.
So 8 points for Paris in that last jam, but importantly 6 for Dock City. So this is now, and you can do the maths on this one.
That's 50
points between the two teams. 83 plays 33. 6.5 minutes left in this game. And we're in an official timeout. We can talk about our wonderful league sponsor, 888. 888's certified sweat saver helmets bring the best features and fit options of any derby helmet on the market. And we're so grateful to all the sponsors this weekend who've enabled this to in tournament to happen. The seats are full. Everybody in the UK Roller Derby is here. If you're not here, you're watching. If you're not here, come tomorrow if there are tickets. But worth noting that in the last 4 jams, Paris hadn't scored until that last jam. So there's 3 so Dock City were able to hold them to no points for 3 jams.
You wouldn't think you wouldn't think that from the score.
Exactly. And I think it's that Paris are just so able to maximise when they have lead and close down when Dock have lead.
Yeah.
And make them and force the call off. As you say, 50-point difference, you wouldn't expect that they've had 3 scoreless jams.
No.
But I think it's also worth noting that we're 6.5 minutes away from half time, and we've only had 130 points across both teams. And again, it just shows how strong. That's always a show that defense is super tight.
Absolutely. And we saw that in Paris's game against Toulouse, especially in the first half of the game. Their defense was locked down. And that is legs with the star for Paris Roller Derby up against Fred Finter for Dock City. Legs looking for space on the inside. Finds it down the middle though, but is being sent off track for a forearms penalty. So Fred Finter is lead jammer for Dock City.
Legs was not happy about that decision.
I wouldn't be, to be fair.
So Fred Finter in the pack. And again, it looked like just people skating, and then Fred Finter comes in and Paris stuck together.
Fred Finter being recycled to the back of the pack. Even with the offense there from Dock City's blockers, the Paris wall just reforming, really, really fluid, but
I think they're actually attached to each other by elastic. So this is the first Dock City Power Jam that we've had. So, all the Power Jams have been with Paris in the penalty box. So interesting to see what Paris were able to do, because Fred is back on track.
So legs being recycled to the back of the pack, going to give that Dock City wall another go.
And again, that 2 wall, but Fred Finter able to stay on toe stops and use momentum to swing round. That was fantastic. Jammer goals.
Jammer goals. Fred Finter, jammer goals.
And sees the danger from Paris, calls the jam. And we have an official review that has been called by Paris. I would have a suspicion it may be around that Fred Finter toe-stop twirl.
There's voguing on track.
From our wonderful track repair team, who are amazing, because they're having to work so hard, and in those gorgeous purple.
I want one.
Yeah.
Can we have them on the merch stand so that we can actually purchase them?
So if you are coming to the venue tomorrow, and we hope you are, there is a bar here, and there is a bar sponsor, Track Brewery, who are a craft beer brewery based in Manchester. And if you've been following Rainy City on Facebook, on social media, you'll know that they actually have been creating a beer with Rainy City. There's a Rainy City beer, Get Low, and you can get that at trackbrewing.co.uk.
I haven't tried it yet because I'm announcing, and that would be inappropriate, but it smells wonderful.
So it's just having the officials are all discussing what the official review is about. And as soon as we have an update on that, we will give it to you. But this is a closer game than the score shows. And I know we say that quite often, but this one I really feel it.
I mean, you know, Dock have been picking up leads fairly often, but it comes back to that Paris defence again, doesn't it, though?
And the fact that when they have lead, they're putting on 12 points. You know, whereas
that'll do it.
And when Dock get leads, we're looking at one scoring pass.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, again, that's Paris defence.
Yeah.
So a lot of this coming down to defence. I also think that because both teams have excellent jammers, it's a game about defence. My favourite kind of game. So it was Paris who were looking for a back block penalty, a leg block penalty to be assessed on Dock City, and
they've lost their official review.
So it was not upheld. Thank you, Smash.
So jamming for Paris, we've got Cass, but it is Bowden for Dock City who is lead jammer. Cass, again, as we've seen so far today, going for the stash.
Oh, that was a big hit. 7-2-9. That's Gypsy Queen who picks up a penalty. I think we had an angle on the screen that maybe not everybody did, but the ref picked that up. Very great.
Yeah.
Skills. And I think that is and we have another forearms penalty which has been picked up by Dock City. So both teams have a blocker in the box.
Bowden being recycled to the back of the pack after having a pretty tough time against that Paris wall. With a jump to the inside, doesn't make it and is sent off for a back block penalty. So we've got a power jam in favour of Cass for Paris.
And we have less than a minute and still no lead. And Paris have passed the star.
Oh, so many 2-minute jams. So many big 2-minute jams.
So Bonnie Tagoul is now jamming for Paris. I think Cass was just stuck and went, actually, I'd rather have a 2-minute jam on a power jam. Try and get some points in that 30 seconds. Apologies, Bowden has lead. I made a mistake there. Thank you for pointing out. Had lead. Right. There's too much going on in this jam.
It's got everything. Star passes, penalties, power jams. So Bowden again going for the kind of jump around the inside, not making it, being sent to the back of the pack again. And the jam coming to its natural conclusion. Haven't said that so far this weekend.
No.
Paris picking up 7 in that jam, 4 to Dock City. So 94 to Paris, 46 to Dock City.
And we have just 2 minutes before half-time. So I think, you know, Dock have an opportunity, you know, in the last few jams, they've been in control some of the time.
Yeah.
A number of the times, but have picked up those jammer penalties. So, you know, their opportunity with Mithra being sent off. So unfortunately picking up a back block, leaving Lamoche as lead jammer and now on a scoring pass.
Lamoche picking up lead jammer fairly quickly as well in this jam, but now facing a 3-wall from Dock City, but with a bit of help from like coordinated offense there.
Oh, that was gorgeous. Because the problem with that move is the timing has to be perfect.
Absolutely.
And they did that. But this is the first time that Paris have had lead in 7 jams.
Wow.
And you think that they are increasing that sort of points differential while they're not picking up leads.
So Lamoche now going around for their 3rd scoring pass. Only picking up 3 points in that last scoring pass.
And this is what we were talking about earlier about that Paris wall. Once it gets together, the jammer just can't move them. And that's a huge amount of time of training and in the gym.
And Lamoche making it round for their 3rd scoring pass. I'd be remiss not to say they've broken the century.
Indeed. But Mithra has now successfully passed the start to Bylan.
And seeing the danger, Paris calling off the jam, picking up another 2 points as they do so.
And this is where we've seen that when Paris are in the lead, that's a 13-point jam.
We're not seeing those sort of numbers from Dock City.
So that is the half-time whistle.
Where did that go? That's just flown by.
So the scores at half-time, Paris Roller Derby on 107, Dock City Rollers on 46. And we should be throwing to an interview very shortly. So, but some stats from Sven. The highest jam point score for Dock is 9. The highest jam point score for Paris is 19. And I think if you added up all the ones where they've got 12 or 13, that's been the story of this game.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at leads, I imagine it's fairly even between the two. Yeah, if anything, Dock have had lead a little bit more. But you're looking at that sort of differential of 62. And that's the difference. There's the multiple scoring passes.
They're not able to capitalise as much when they have got lead in the same way that Paris have been.
So we're just looking to, because we will be going to an interview very shortly, so don't go anywhere. And it should be somebody from the previous game, which was Helsinki versus Crime. And it will be Very Cherry that we're handing over to. I mean, that was a great game, the Helsinki Crime game.
I really, really enjoyed it.
So if you want to hear how people felt and how it went, we will be handing over to Very Cherry. We can see them down from where we are, you see, so this is why we're just like, oh, it's...
Just waiting for Cherry to give us a...
And it's actually from both teams, so we've got somebody from both Helsinki and Crime City to talk about that last game. If not, we will be back here in 13 minutes. I've been Dork Mistress.
I've been and will continue to be Smash.
And Sven Will I Be Famous is supporting us with production. And now we're over to Very Cherry.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us trackside. And now I need to make sure I get everybody's name right. So I'm here with Vanilla Slice. Say hi.
Hi.
And I'm here. You're going to have to help me with your name, sorry.
Querica.
I was never going to say it that way. So, fantastic game, yes? Nice win for yourselves. What was the best part of the game?
Well, I think it was when we actually started to pull it together, because we had a rocky start and then time out, and then when you could see okay, now we're playing our game again. And that.
Amazing. Now, for yourselves, obviously didn't quite get the win this time, but what was the highlight of the game for yourself?
What was the what? The highlight? I think the beginning, because we had kind of the opposite. We had kind of the opposite, and we played really well in the beginning, but then we sort of fell apart when you got it together. So that's what happened for us.
Oh, it's like you've rehearsed this together. I like it. So what are you most looking forward to for the rest of the tournament?
Well, we are looking forward to playing London tomorrow. It's been a really long time ago since we played them last, so we're excited about that. And then hopefully playing. Yeah.
Nice. And for yourselves, what are you looking forward to for the rest of the tournament?
Oh, winning the rest of the games. Yes.
Amazing. And then what was your number one thing you were most looking forward to about coming to the UK? Apart from the roller derby.
Oh, I was apart from winning. Well, then I would have to say Indian food. Yeah, I've had it 3 times so far. So.
And for yourself, what were you most looking forward to coming to the UK?
Seeing the gay village and the Canal Street and all of that stuff, yeah.
Oh, these have been brilliant answers. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of the tournament. Give a wave to everybody back at home if you want to, and I'll throw you back to the studio. Thank you for joining me trackside.
And welcome back to Manchester for EuroCup 2023. We are in Game 4, half-time, Paris Roller Derby versus Dock City Rollers. I'm Dork Mistress.
And I am Smash.
And we have the wonderful Sven Will I Be Famous producing with us, who's given us some really interesting stats about that first half. So, penalty-wise, Dock City currently have 30 penalties with 1 blocker on 5 penalties already. Paris only picked up 13, and I think we really saw that have an impact in the game. The other thing is the amount of passes, scoring passes that Paris were able to do when they had lead. You know, they have 3 jammers who have scored over 20 points each, and Dock City have only 1 jammer who scored 20 so far. So that was the game of the first half, and now we are ready, lined up for the second half.
So on the S1 jam line, we have got a Limoges for Paris. And I can't quite see who that is for. That'll be Fred Finter.
Yes.
That'll be Fred Finter for Dock City. And it is Fred Finter who picks up lead jammer. Again, we're seeing Limoges taking off the star. And Fred Finter hitting that wall. We have had a star pass. So, oh, no, sorry.
Nope. It looked
Calm
like
down,
a
Smash.
sneaky star pass.
Looks
but
like it.
I tried to make out it was a star pass. Confused us, but
Yeah.
not Dock City. But that's 4 points for them in that first jam. And look at that. That is an that is an S1 jam lineup, if I've ever seen one.
Flat fours aplenty.
Oh, it's been a while. And now we get the real formations.
Just mind games everywhere. And that is Legs jamming for Paris and Bowden jamming for Dock City. All skaters on track, nobody in the penalty box. And that is Legs that picks up lead jammer.
But it is Bowden who picked up that penalty for that sprawl. So this is now a power jam for Paris.
So Paris kind of keeping one of those Dock City blockers as a bit of a goat. Keeping them away from their wall.
But Dock City blocker went out of play, which allowed Legs to come back on track a little bit earlier than Dock City wanted, but facing that tough wall up front.
Dock City having a go at kind of keeping Legs kind of hemmed into that inside line there. But Legs cooling off the jam.
But there are points.
3 points in that jam, bringing the score to 50 to Dock City. Paris on 111.
So we've been talking about this game is important. This is a consolation game, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't count. So we've been talking about how important this is for WFTDA rankings and all about points differential. So Dock City will be keen to narrow that gap as much as possible over the next 27 minutes.
And hoping to do that right off the bat is going to be Fred Finter for Dock City Rollers with a lovely toe stop work around the outside. But Cass is already lead jammer for Paris Roller Derby and calls off the jam while just jumping backwards.
Again, toe stops on the inside line. That was the theme of this jam. Fantastic footwork and line awareness by both jammers. 3 points for Paris, taking them to 114. I mean, it's just, you know, we've seen such agility from the jammers, but also such strength. It used to be you'd be one or the other, and now jammers are both.
You have to be. So on the S1 jam line, we have got Star taking the star for Paris and Bowden for Dock City.
But there are 2 Paris blockers in the penalty box.
Be interesting to see if Bowden is able to capitalise on that. And so far, they are picking up lead jammer while jumping around turn 1. And the Paris pivot being sent to the box for a forearms penalty as well. So a bit of penalty trouble for Paris at the moment.
With only 1 blocker on track, there is not a lot you can do. But again, you can see how the Paris jammer has made the Dock wall move all the way down the straightaway.
Yeah, giving away kind of space.
Yards.
Bit of a T-shirt whip there. Trying to get Star out on their initial pass. We're seeing more blockers from Paris being sent to the penalty box. You know, Bowden, second scoring pass. That's their third scoring pass. So 12 points already racked up for Dock City so far. Star having a really tough time being recycled all the way back.
But here, the lack of Paris blockers meant that Bowden got through. I mean, this is a huge jam for Dock City, picking up 16 points. Paris picking up 4. I think that's probably the largest scoring pass for Dock City. Yeah, the previous was 9 points.
Quite a jump, isn't it?
Big jump, great. You know, this is what we want to see more of.
And we're going into this next jam still with 2 of Paris's blockers starting in the box. So Dock City starting with a pack advantage. So Fred Finter jamming for Dock City, just bending their legs as they skate round. We have the right angle for that as well.
Who needs to obey the laws of physics?
Not when you're Fred Finter. So Fred Finter picking up lead jammer nice and early. Lamoche jamming for Paris, but we've already had a star pass. So Bonnie Tagoul jamming for Paris now.
And forces the call off. Yeah. But again, points for Dock City, 2 points. It feels like there's a big gap, but they are doing everything they can to close that down.
So the advantage that Dock City have had in those past 2 jams, you know, having Paris blockers starting in the box, they haven't got that now. Everyone is going to be on track.
And that's a timeout which has been called by Paris, which is not unexpected.
No, if you've got that sort of momentum, you're going to want to try and shut that down, aren't you?
Yeah. So 50 points between the 2 teams. And much as we've said this has been a game about blockers, this is clearly also a game about penalties. Because in the first half, Dock City had all of the penalties and Paris had the points and the multiple scoring passes. And these first couple of jams, Paris have had the penalties, Dock have done the multiple scoring passes.
We saw earlier today as well, though, that Paris, when playing against Toulouse, they were much stronger in the first half of their game. They were a lot cleaner in the first half of the game. They were in the lead, you know, a fairly decent amount throughout the first half of the game, and it was a significant shift in the second period.
I mean, we're you know 6 minutes into the second half, and Paris have already had 5 penalties.
Wow.
Can I just say that person doing track repair, I love the fact that every time the whistle goes, they act surprised.
Sports.
I want that level of excitement. So, 24 minutes left in this game.
And that is Mithra jamming for Dock City and Legs jamming for Paris. Like I said, we have got an empty penalty box, so everyone up on track. And Mithra with 1 to beat up at the front, but Legs makes it out. No, Legs does not make it out. They have picked up a back block penalty, so a power jam in favour of Mithra for Dock City.
And you can see Dock City doing the sort of person-on-person offence to try and get Mithra through. But Paris just able to reform up front, that elastic, bringing them together no matter how far apart they are on the track.
Dock City blockers there doing a really good job of stopping the recycle from going back too far. We've seen a lot of recycling going really, really far back and a lot of backwards derby so far today. So the awareness to be able to kind of shut that down is really good.
But Dock City are lining up, waiting for Legs to return.
Going into that Dock City wall very hard, but not able to kind of get any space from it. Mithra really, really pushing hard against that wall of Paris blockers, while Legs makes it out of the pack for their initial pass. Mithra with 2 to beat up at front.
But it is a back block penalty for Mithra in that fall up front, and a forearms penalty, correction.
So with 20 seconds left of this jam, Legs being the sole jammer, on track. Looking like they were going to just step around.
And Paris again also focusing on stopping the recircle going back too far, trying to save Legs' legs. Yes, I was looking for that joke.
I'm glad you were.
And that is 3 points on that scoring pass for Paris, taking them to 7. So the score is now 125 points to Paris, 68 to Dock City. 22 minutes, a bit less left in this game. Sadly, though, you know, the teams that are playing now will not be receiving one of the zero waste medals, the world's only zero waste medal producer who've produced these amazing wooden medals. Wooden-medals.co.uk is the place to check them out.
So Lamoche jamming for Paris and is lead jammer as Mithra starts the jam in the penalty box. Mithra coming out of the penalty box, star in hand. Paris already picking up 4 points. Mithra having now passed the star, so Malice Babs now jamming for Dock City, but forcing the call off.
And it was so close. I was wondering if there was a sneaky little point, but no, denied. Paris picking up 8 in that jam, Dock City picking up a 0. 133 plays 68. And again, you know, we have another Paris blocker in the penalty box. So it is Dock that have the pack advantage.
So on the S1 jam line, we have got Bowden for Dock City, and that is Cass for Paris. Both jammers trying to go down the outside. But we have got Bowden with 2 to beat up at the front on turn 1. Now 1.
And is already lead. Had snuck out but got recycled. So it's Cass who is still in the pack on their initial. And Bowden just blasts through.
Just finding all that, finding quite a large space in lane 1.
Oh.
Not quite able to stay in and is recycled back to turn 1.
And Bowden's like, I've had enough of this. I don't want to stand up again.
I'm just going to fall on my knees and call off the jam.
But 8 points for Dock City, taking them to 76. Nothing for Paris in that jam. But we have got a player in penalty danger, so that is Bellin, who is on 6 penalties now.
So both teams starting with a blocker in the penalty box. So we have got Fred Finter jamming for Dock City and Star jamming for Paris.
Even though this is, you know, off the line, it's those static defense walls.
And Fred Finter being recycled to the back of the pack. Paris now with a full complement of blockers on track.
Bonnie Tagul trying to give some offense, but isn't able to break up that Dock City wall up front.
And now with all of the Dock City blockers back on track as well.
So I'm just watching. It's about the timing of the offense from Bonnie Tagul, but it's neither team is able to get their jammer out on this pass. You know.
I mean, this is still the initial.
And yeah, a minute.
A minute.
A minute.
But Fred Finter being awarded lead jammer status as Star is sent off for a penalty.
A high block.
High block, thank you very much.
Oh, that wasn't me, that was fun.
No, I just don't know hand signals. So we've seen the offense kind of going for it for both teams already in this jam.
But again, you know, just the defense is so solid at this stage. You've got 2 people holding back somebody as agile as Fred Finter. So they weren't just quite able to cover that outside line. But it took a long time to get Fred out.
So the Dock City blockers doing a fairly good job of keeping the Paris blockers kind of split apart, allowing Fred Finter to go round to pick up an extra 4 points.
But I think the speed that Fred had meant that they just quite weren't ready at the front.
Yeah.
And having the one blocker at the back for Paris didn't work for them then, because they weren't able to hold them back. So it was just literally skating around the blockers, and we haven't seen that much from Paris. But Dock City, again, with 8 points, and Paris on nothing. So this is Yeah, so this is the second jam in a row that Doc have scored 8 points and held Paris to nothing. So, is this the start of a second half, sort of charge?
So on the S1 jam line, we've got Bowden for Dock City and Legs for Paris. Legs with 1 to beat. No pass, no penalty, so...
Lead is open.
Lead is still open for Bowden.
But it's that Paris wall up front. And actually the pack sort of, with Dock City sort of coming into the pack, that's left some space for Bowden, but not able to capitalise on it.
Again, with the 2 walls now becoming a 3 wall. And an apex jump from Legs not completed, so it's going to go back to the back of the pack. Bowden is out for their initial.
But they are not lead.
They are not lead.
So this will be a 2-minute jam, 56 seconds to go. And, we've been talking about how there have been these solid static 3 walls. This is much more of what we talk about when it's, sort of dynamic walling, because although they're in 3s, they have to move around each other as the pressure from the jammers moves them. And as they say that, they split out again. But Legs finally completes that scoring pass.
Bowden out on their first scoring pass of the jam.
But Legs completes another.
Signalling to their blockers, run away.
Paris not joining up to give Bowden that much trouble on that scoring pass.
One of the Paris blockers in the box, so perhaps a little bit to do with what was going on there.
But 8 points for Dock City on that jam, but 16 points from Paris. So extending that lead out to 57. But it had closed back down to sort of just below 50. So
we've been seeing kind of 50, 60 kind of point differential.
So we're starting with 2 Paris blockers in the box.
And we have got Fred Finter jamming for Dock City up against Cass for Paris. Fred Finter up at the front with 1 to beat. Cass up against that is a full 4 wall of Dock City blockers. Fred Finter stretching out that pack and picks up lead jammer. Bit of offense there from Malice Babs, trying to get Fred Finter out and scoring points.
Cass attempting a star pass, looking for the pivot.
And we have had it. That is a star pass.
So Bonnie Tagoul now jamming for Paris.
Dock City seeing the danger and calling off the jam.
Well, I think it's that Fred was having a bit of a lie down on the outside, and they're going, actually, I need a change of jammer, because Fred has absolutely been doing a shift, as they say. But 3 points for Dock, taking them to 95. 13 minutes left in this game. And stay with us, because the next game is so juicy.
What's the next game, Doc?
It's Rainy City versus Toulouse.
I am looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to this game where we have got Lamoche jamming for Paris, who has picked up lead jammer, and we have got Mithra jamming for Dock City. Mithra not wearing the star currently. So being hit to the inside. And a lovely, lovely kind of hop around that hit from Patty from the block, picking up Lamoche. 4 points for Paris. So we have we had a star? We have had a star pass. So that is Bielin jamming for Dock City.
Just surrounded by Paris blockers. There was just the entire four around them as
That's why I couldn't tell if there had been a star pass. I couldn't see the star. Some brilliant kind of lateral footwork and kind of juking there from Limoges, getting them out.
Also great work from Doc. The minute that the Paris Jammer was out, they went to give offense.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to discuss it. They just went as a team. And that's a lovely hit out, but unfortunately also a sprawl from, I think, Mithra. But we have Limoges on fifth scoring pass now.
But being recycled all the way back.
So I think this could be the highest scoring jam. Frantically looking at pieces of paper.
So Limoges going for some offensive jamming rather than going for the points. Hits off Bielin, taking her all the way back rather than going for the points.
So interesting to see. It's just 2 points. So 17 for Paris in that jam. Second highest scoring jam of the game. Dock City remaining on 95 points. The gap between the two is 71 at this stage. 10.5 minutes left in this game.
Wow. So Paris kind of inching away with that lead at the moment.
So, yeah, and the jammer lineup for Dock City has been consistently Fred Finter and Bowden, with Mithra sort of giving the two of them a bit of a break. But you can just see, we were saying that Fred has been really giving a shift. So has Bowden. I mean, we've had 13 jams and they've done 5 jams each.
Wow, that's incredible.
It's a lot of work.
So we have got Bowden jamming for Dock City at the moment, and that is Star jamming for Paris. Bowden with a hit to the inside is recycled to the back of the pack. Again, going for that inside line around the turn, not quite making it. You know, 50 seconds in, still no lead jammer, but Bowden is up at the front.
And finally makes lead. But again, we saw Paris had one blocker against Bowden, but then there come the other 2 Paris blockers.
Yeah. Bowden picking up points backwards, doing it with style.
Yeah, that's not a pack. That's a bunch of people skating. I'm not sure what happened after. I think it's because, again, I went the Paris blockers were, and then they decided no.
We have got a blocker from each team in the penalty box, with some lovely footwork there from Bowden, picking up another 4 points for Dock City. Bowden coming round with their blocker from the penalty box. Nice bit of offense, kind of nicely timed there.
Both skaters came in at speed, but actually weren't able to make the most of that. But it's Paris facing the Dock wall at the back. It's Dock facing the Paris wall at the front. And that jam does come to a natural end.
So 3 points there for Paris and another 3 points for Dock, so bringing the total to 11 for that jam. So 106 to Dock City, 169 to Paris. So it's a nice score they've got going on at the moment.
So I think the challenge is that, we keep talking about Paris having done the multiple scoring passes. Dock are starting to do that, but not enough times.
So we have got Moshi jamming for Paris Roller Derby up against Fred Finter for Dock City. Starting to see a bit of a change in the jammer rotations, but it is Fred Finter that picks up lead jammer for Dock City.
And we have a star pass for Paris, as they've clearly been practicing bully bunker. Now lead jammer for now jammer for Paris.
So Fred Finter calling off the jam. not before they have picked up 3 points for Dock City. So 109 to Dock City, 169 to Paris. Just under 7 minutes left of the game.
And I know we've said it a number of times this game. The score does not reflect the gameplay.
No.
And you know the feedback from the vibe from the audience is that this is a really exciting game to watch.
It is.
And you can see why when you see Malice Babs put so much energy into pushing out up front, and then just that hit back.
That is Malice Babs with the finger guns picking up lead jammer.
Malice Babs very happy that they got lead, because it was confirmation that they got their track awareness right.
Yeah. Legs jamming for Paris. Paris with 2 blockers in the penalty box, so making it a little bit easier for Malice Babs to come round, pick up those 4 points. Again, we're seeing the Dock City blockers kind of hemming legs into the kind of inside line. Malice Babs now on picking up their second set of points.
It's so nice to watch the team have a goat.
I'm not going to do noises.
And Paris manage the star pass. And it is Bonnie Tagul, who brushes off big hits from Doc and stays upright. And has completed initial pass, forcing the jam to be called off. But I don't know if you can hear from the audience, the place has gone wild over the last jam from Doc. And we have an official review being called by Paris. So, as we said, the next game is going to be Rainy versus Toulouse. So the winner of this will go into the final game for medals tomorrow, which is very exciting. Rainy currently ranked 3rd in Europe. Toulouse currently ranked 4th in Europe. That is going to be exciting. So that will be a great game. Should be about 5:15. So please stay with us. You know, come back, go and have a break. You know, we can't
Make a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Get some bickies.
And then come back for that game. We're still waiting to find out what the official review is about. And we will update you as soon as you know. And this is only day 1.
We get to do it all over again tomorrow.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. But, you know, we've just seen, just top-level roller derby from 9 o'clock on first whistle all the way through. I always want to know what they're discussing, and is it really all serious?
I'm not an official, so I can't comment.
They're deciding what pizzas they want to have later this evening. So it is Paris who've asked for the official review. They're asking for a forearms penalty to be assessed on a Dock City skater. So we will watch the penalty box. That will tell us what's going on. The officials are reviewing that, and then they will inform the teams, and then we'll have a look at what's happening. But a chance to talk about our track sponsor, Sovereign Transport Services. They are providing the STS track for us all weekend. Transport company delivering goods throughout the UK and Europe. Warehouse and storage facilities are available at the Liverpool depot. You can check them out at sovereigntransport.com. And we've talked about the wooden medals. There's also going to be an MVP blocker, jammer, and overall MVP awards as part of a ceremony at the end of tomorrow. So it's a whole weekend of fun. It's glitz, it's glamour, it's spills, it's hits, it's apex jumps.
So it does appear that Paris have lost their official review, so that no call will stand.
So 5 minutes 12 left in this game. 169 playing 121.
We have got Bowden taking the star for Dock City Rollers and Lamoche jamming for Paris.
Solid three walls.
Solid 3 walls.
Solid 3 walls.
No space being given up by either team, really. It's
Bowden using the traditional, I'm going to push my blocker in front. Uses it, gets out, lead jammer.
Lamoche out for their initial.
But Bowden's approaching for points. And he's looking to see where Lamoche is, and it's like, nope.
No points for you.
But 2 points for Dock City. And again, the psychology of the S1 jam line. Nobody wants the S1 pivot line. Just the S1 jam line.
I could not tell you the last time I saw a pivot line start.
So, interestingly, in the last 9 jams, Dock has had leads 7 times. And it's starting to feel that they are more in control.
That's something where this kind of the score that we've seen shift does kind of reflect, those stats that we're seeing. But we've got Fred Finter taking the star for Dock City up against Cass for Paris. We have got nobody in the penalty box. We have got all skaters on the track.
You just now jinxed that. So, again, the solid 3 walls separated.
Fred Finter, with some offense there from the Dock City pivot, but not able to do enough to get them out. But Fred Finter pushing that Paris wall up front, stretching that pack out.
But Paris able to just lock Fred Finter down. It's Paris giving some offense, trying to get Cass out, who's now, like when you're in the gym and you have those machines that you try and push with your shoulders. That is what Cass is doing now.
It's bold of you to assume I know what a gym is, Dork.
But Cass, covering the entire width of the track, trying to out-juke. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Gets through on the inside on their toe stops and then falls. Oh, and recycled all the way back to the S1 jam line. Oh.
And now a Dock City tripod.
But did pick up lead. Yes. So again, we're in those positions where we have a lead, but they're both still on their initial pass. And we've seen that, I think, more times today than I've seen in months and weeks.
But going for a nice big hit straight down the middle of that wall. So Cass was lead.
Yep.
Has now taken off and passed the star.
Nope, that was not a legal star pass. So, so there were some shenanigans in that jam.
Shenanigans, but no points.
No, and yeah, so there clearly was a star pass violation or an illegal star pass that was then resolved because there hasn't been a penalty awarded. Ooh.
So with 90 seconds left of the game, we have got Bowden taking the star for Dock City on the S1 jam line and Legs taking the star for Paris Roller Derby. With both teams with a blocker in the penalty box. Bowden going for a big hit into the Paris pivot. It is a no pass, no penalty. So Bowden is out. Oh, I stand corrected. It is lead that has been awarded to Bowden.
And again, it's Patty from the block trying to hold back Legs. Unsuccessful. Legs now out on the scoring pass, but overtaken by Bowden. Oh, sorry, overtaken by the pivot coming back from the penalty box.
So fairly short and frantic jam.
Yes.
That one.
Yeah.
4 points picked up by Dock City, bringing the score to 127 to Paris's 169.
Because this is now all about points differential. So in the last 5 jams, Paris have not scored. And yeah, so the predicted points differential was 176 to Paris to 123 to Dock. We're now in a timeout called by Dock, which is not, they want to make sure that they get the most out of this last jam, because if they can put on 13, 16 points in the last jam, they're breaking the differential prediction, which means they will get more points in the rankings.
If they've gone 5 jams where they've prevented Paris from scoring at all, if they can continue that, then absolutely do what you can to, really kind of chip away at that point differential.
Yeah. And so Dock are currently 11th in Europe and, at the moment would not qualify for the European Championships. So rankings is everything right now. So
Yeah.
points differential is everything. They are really wanting to make sure that they, blast
Get
this
that
last
invite.
dome. Yeah, who doesn't want to go to Malmo, 7th to the 9th of June?
So as we go into what could very feasibly, if not definitely, be the last jam of the game.
I never say that
No,
because I'm always
there's an
proved
official.
wrong.
Doc have got their official review left.
So we're in an official timeout.
Another timeout.
So I think it's again track repair. The track repair team have worked flat out this tournament, have done an amazing job. And voguing as well.
Duck walks are back.
I just look at that and my thighs cry. And my knees.
I think all track repair should be done as a duck walk. Ka-ka-da-ka-ka-da-ka. Death drops and
Yeah, serving looks and tape. That should be the job description.
just serving.
Oh dear. 25 seconds left in this game. We do not have a full view of the track, but the officials do, and they are back. The official timeout has come to an end. I think it's a quick check on the time score because there's now 26 seconds left, making sure that everything's aligned.
So we have got Fred Finter jamming for Dock City, and that is Lamoche with the star for Paris. Fred Finter being assessed for a forearms penalty. So we have got a power jam in favour of Lamoche and Paris. They haven't scored in 5 jams. Let's see if this is going to be the opportunity to kind of turn that tide.
And Paris very much one person on person blocking to try and break up that wall.
Lamoche going for that inside line, picking up the 4 points.
And looking to hold back Dock City, not letting them run away. And there's the outside, there's the inside.
Just weaving their way through the pack there, making it look pretty darn easy. Yeah.
Effortless.
Lamoche kind of just taking a seat on in the ref lane there for a moment after being hit out, recycled to the back of the pack.
With Fred Finter just pushing out one Paris blocker left ahead, pushed out of play and picked up a failure to return penalty. And that is the final whistle for the game. So the unofficial score is Paris 178, Dock City Rollers 127. To remind you, the predictor said it would be 176 to 123.
That's pretty darn close.
That's
well done
spooky.
with WFTDA.
Yes, well done, the predictor. So, but in that last half, I mean, Fred Finter played 8 jams. That's a huge amount of effort. And Bowden also was on the jam line a significant amount of time. But what a game.
It's around that kind of 50-point
Yeah.
differential that we kind of saw throughout. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, and, again, we've said it, we'll say it again. The score does not reflect the game.
No.
No. But I think both teams will have a lot to take away with it they're happy about. I think, that Paris defense. And some of the jamming from Dock City has been exceptional.
Absolutely.
And I think that, particularly Dock can look at how they came back at different points during the game.
Yep.
But then also Paris, although they may be 5 scoreless jams, would then smash out, 16 points. So, huge amount for both teams to learn. You can see already that they're, we can see from here that they're already having fun with each other. So, next game is going to be approximately approximately 5:15, because we are running a little bit late at the moment. It is going to be Rainy City versus Toulouse, and the winner of that game will be going into the gold medal playoff tomorrow evening, and the loser will be going into the third, fourth playoff. Lot to play for. Third place, fourth. Rainy and Toulouse haven't played for a while. They did play earlier this year, so it'll be really interesting to see how both teams have sort of developed over the past few months. So come back here. But this game is over. I've been Dork Mistress.
And I have been Smash.
And we've had the wonderful Sven Will I Be Famous supporting us with production. Thank you, and see you at 5:15.